The intercom clicked on at 2:17 a.m., and a voice whispered my name, even though I was the only person in the school, and I hadn't touched the system all night. And at first I thought it was just feedback, one of those random electrical glitches old buildings get after midnight. But then it said my name again, clearer this time, slower. Like whoever was speaking was making sure I heard it. And that's when I noticed something worse. The security monitor showed the main office completely empty, exactly where the intercom controls were located. My name's Daniel Brooks. I was 28, working overnight as a janitor at a public school in Springfield, because it was steady work and the night shift paid more. Plus, I figured cleaning empty hallways was easier than dealing with kids all day. And most nights were exactly that. Quiet. Predictable. Just me pushing a cart through long corridors under flickering fluorescent lights, mopping floors, emptying trash, occasionally checking doors to make sure everything stayed locked. The building's settling into this strange stillness after midnight, where every sound felt louder than it should be. The hum of vending machines, the distant ticking of wall clocks, the faint buzz of old wiring behind the walls. And I'd usually keep a small radio clipped to my belt in case security needed anything. Though most nights it stayed silent, just like everything else, until that night when the intercom came alive on its own, my name echoing faintly through the empty classrooms. And I stood there in the hallway, mop still in my hand, trying to figure out if I had actually heard it, or if my mind was just playing tricks on me. But then it happened again. Daniel, soft, almost breathless. And I felt that uneasy chill creep up my spine, because this time, there was no mistaking it. It wasn't random noise, it was deliberate. And I slowly reached for my radio, pressing the button as I said, "Security, you guys testing the intercom or something?" Trying to keep my voice steady, but all I got back was static, low and constant, and then beneath it, something else. A faint echo of my own voice, repeating what I had just said. Slightly delayed, slightly distorted. Testing the intercom or something, and I froze, lowering the radio slowly as that realization sank in, that the building wasn't just making noise, it was repeating me. And that's when I noticed something worse. The hallway lights flickered in a slow pattern, like they were responding to the sound, dimming slightly each time the intercom crackled. And I told myself to stay calm, that there had to be a logical explanation, maybe a wiring issue, maybe someone left the system on loop, something technical, something real. So I started walking toward the main office where the intercom controls were, my footsteps echoing louder than usual, the silence around me feeling heavier with each step. And as I passed the classroom doors, I couldn't help but glance through the narrow windows, seeing rows of empty desks sitting in the dark, chairs tucked in neatly, everything exactly where it should be, but something about it felt off, like the rooms were being watched from the inside instead of the other way around. And then the intercom clicked again, louder this time, and I stopped in the middle of the hallway as the speakers overhead crackled, and the voice came back. But this time, it wasn't just my name. It was a sentence, spoken in my own voice. "Don't go to the office." And my breath caught instantly because I hadn't said that. Not out loud, not ever. And yet there it was, my tone, my pacing, even the slight hesitation I get when I'm unsure. And I stood there for a moment, torn between backing away and pushing forward, because if something was telling me not to go there, it meant something was waiting for me there. And that's when I noticed something worse. The security camera mounted at the end of the hallway had shifted slightly, angled away from the office door like it was avoiding that area completely. And I felt that fear sharpen into something more urgent, more real, because now it wasn't just sounds. Something physical had changed, something had moved, and I tightened my grip on the radio, forcing myself to keep walking, slower now, more cautious, each step measured as I approached the office door. And as I reached it, I noticed it was slightly open, just a small gap. even though I knew for a fact it had been locked earlier during my rounds. And I hesitated, my hand hovering over the door, listening for any sound from inside. But there was nothing. Just that same heavy silence pressing in around me. And then the intercom crackled again, right above me this time, and the voice whispered, "You are already inside." And my heart jumped into my throat as I turned around instinctively, expecting to see someone behind me. But the hallway was empty, completely empty. And for a second, I actually questioned where I was, like the building had shifted without me noticing, like I had walked somewhere I wasn't supposed to be. And that's when I noticed something worse. The door I had just come through at the end of the hallway was gone, replaced by a blank wall where it shouldn't have been, and I felt that panic rise quickly now, breaking through whatever control I had left, because this wasn't just a malfunction, this was something changing around me, something I couldn't explain, and I pushed the office door open quickly, stepping inside, and the room looked normal at first glance. Desk, monitors, intercom panel, everything in place. But the screens, they weren't showing the usual camera feeds. They were all displaying the same hallway I had just walked through, but from different angles that didn't match any camera positions I knew existed. And in each one, there was a figure standing at the far end, just out of clear view. And my chest tightened as I stepped closer to the screens, trying to make out what I was looking at. And that's when I noticed something worse. The figure was moving, slowly, shifting from one screen to another, getting closer each time. And with a growing sense of dread, I realized it wasn't moving through the hallway. It was moving through the cameras. And before I could react, the intercom burst to life again, loud enough to make me flinch, and the voice spoke clearly now. No distortion, no delay, just my voice, calm and certain. Turn around, and every instinct told me not to, but my body didn't listen. I turned slowly. I realized that from the front road, I received a small wing. I thought I saw someone standing there, just beyond the frame, but when I focused, there was nothing. Just the empty hallway again, and I stepped back, shaking my head, trying to ground myself, trying to convince myself this wasn't real, that I was just exhausted, that I had pushed myself too far. But then I heard footsteps, not from the hallway, but from inside the office, behind me, matching my movements exactly when I stepped, stopping when I stopped, like a delayed echo that shouldn't exist. And that's when I noticed something worse. My reflection in the dark computer screen wasn't syncing with me. It was just a fraction of a second behind, moving after I moved, and I stumbled back, my heart pounding as I stared at it, watching as the reflection slowly raised its head to look directly at me, before I had even moved, and that was enough. I turned and ran, pushing past the office door, sprinting down the hallway as fast as I could, not caring about anything except getting out, the intercom crackling loudly behind me, my voice calling out over and over. "Don't run, don't leave, you're already here," each phrase hitting harder than the last, and I didn't stop until I reached the exit, shoving the door open and stumbling out into the parking lot, the cold air hitting me like a shock, grounding me just enough to realize I was actually outside, actually away from whatever that was. And I kept running until I reached my car, fumbling with the keys before finally getting inside and locking the doors, my hands shaking as I tried to catch my breath. And for a moment, everything was quiet again, just the sound of my own breathing, the faint hum of the engine. And I told myself it was over, that I had imagined it, that there had to be some explanation, something logical, something real. But then the radio on my belt crackled one last time, and I slowly looked down at it as my voice came through, soft and steady. "You didn't leave," and I felt that cold dread settle in my chest again as I glanced up at the school building and saw, through one of the second-floor windows, a figure standing there, watching me, moving exactly the way I did.